Hi everyone, my name is Braylon and I wanted to sit down with you today to talk to you a bit about Jupiter retrograde. So I have my little planet here, Jupiter. This is going to be helping us really tap into these energies and the different meanings to what this may be having an effect on our lives like. What is this going to do? What is the Jupiter retrograde? What can we, look forward to? What will be some of the challenges? All of that kind of stuff, okay? So I have Jupiter here with us. I love holding this little planet. Jupiter is our largest planet. So I have all the little planets minus Pluto, of course. And Jupiter is a really, really decent size. Like these planets do a really good job at showing the different sizes. I have little itty bitty Mercury and little medium Venus, and Jupiter is definitely a holdable planet. He is large and in charge. So I just wanted to sit down today, guys, and kind of give my interpretation of, what I think this transit is going to bring to our lives. I thought it was very interesting that Jupiter is going retrograde. He went retrograde on March 8th, but it was pretty late March 8th. I believe it was like around 8 p.m. California time, and I live in Michigan, so for Michigan, I believe it was around 11 or so. I'm not sure, but I know that Jupiter went retrograde yesterday, and he is retrograde right now. So, I wanted to sit down and talk to you guys. I have a few notes here just, to keep myself guided. And I also have a few things that I just like to channel and things that I would just like to incorporate in my reading. So, Jupiter retrograde. Jupiter is our largest planet, you guys, in our solar system. And Jupiter is the ruler of Sagittarius and the co-ruler of Pisces. Let's see here. Jupiter is known as the king of the gods, and Jupiter rules our higher mind, you guys. So when I think of Jupiter, I definitely think more Sagittarius. I think most Pisces are very Neptunian. Neptune is the ruler of Pisces, and very anciently, they call Jupiter the ancient ruler of Pisces. So long ago, Jupiter was considered the ruler of Pisces as well, the co-ruler. So what do Pisces and Sagittarius have in common? Well, they square each other on the zodiac wheel back here. Pisces and Sagittarius make this kind of 90-degree angle, I believe, but they square each other. So that's an interesting aspect there. And the one thing that Jupiter and that Pisces and Sagittarius have in common is our belief in things, right? The only difference really is that, of course, Sagittarius is a fire sign, Pisces is a water sign. But Sagittarius, they're all about the expansion of sight. That's why I think more Sagittarius when I think Jupiter, because Jupiter is the planet of expansion. Sagittarius is the ninth house of philosophy, so it's all about taking this kind of philosophical approach to life, towards our beliefs, towards what we can gain higher knowledge towards, right? And then, of course, a lot of astrologers mention how Jupiter is the planet of luck and Jupiter is the planet of good fortune. And just personally, I believe that Jupiter is associated with luck and good fortune because this is an optimistic planet. This is a planet that has a relatively good energy, just like Sagittarius. Sagittarius is always energetic. They're always kind of this energetically hopeful kind of individuals, right? So Jupiter kind of takes on that same energy. It has a very positive vibe to it. So it's all about, our faiths and our beliefs. Now, this planet has gone retrograde, so some of you may not know what retrograde means. Now, when I first started studying astrology, one of the first planets that I realized went retrograde was, of course, Mercury, which we have going retrograde in a couple weeks on the 22nd. So Mercury is one of those planets that go retrograde most. It goes retrograde at 4 times a year or something like that. And then we have Jupiter, and I just read this last night while I was studying about this. Jupiter goes retrograde every 3 years, I want to say, or, no, not 3 years. It was like 13 months or 19 months, something like that. So I'm like, wow, Jupiter goes retrograde, like, not too often, but the whole act, guys, of this retrograde, the very word retro means to move backwards, right? Have you ever heard someone say we have to look at this in retrospection or look at this in retrospect? Well, what that means is that you want to look at a series of past events. So when a planet moves retrograde, what it essentially is doing is it's planets have their own natural orbits, and they orbit and they orbit and they orbit, but sometimes a planet begins to slow down until it's actually at a halt. And when this planet halts, well, to the human eye, it seems as if this planet is moving backwards, right? And astrologers have that debatable, they say that Mercury doesn't really move backwards. It just appears to be moving backwards. But the energy that the planet is giving off is a very retro, past movement, slowing down. Let's take a minute here. So Jupiter is essentially slowing down in the sky, and it is coming to a halt. Instead of it moving forward and going on its natural course of action, it's slowing down. And I'm looking at this as in an energetic way. Like, wow, I feel like it's so interesting that these planets kind of slow down, and kind of stop moving. And you got to think why that is. And when this happens in astrology, at least for me, I like to think about what that planet means and what that planet is doing in the sky, where that planet is in our chart, right? Where that planet is doing this certain thing in our life, because then we could have a better understanding as of how this is going to affect us. So just in general here in the intro video, I wanted to talk a little bit about Jupiter and what I think Jupiter means and what I think it means for Jupiter to be going retrograde. And then I wanted to talk to you guys individually, each of the 12 signs, real quickly. Just, I'm hoping that it can be about 10 minutes of conversation, so that all together these can be about 30 minutes or so. Yeah, I just wanted to take a look at collectively where this energy is going to be happening. Now, Jupiter is going retrograde in the sign of Scorpio. So, of course, all the Scorpios watching, that means that Jupiter is going retrograde in your first house of self. So Scorpios are kind of experiencing this firsthand. And then we have Sagittarius that's experiencing this in their 12th house, and then we have Pisces who's experiencing this in their 9th house. So all these different energies are going to play out in different unique ways for all of us. But this is significant, guys. Very, very significant for this to be happening. It's interesting to me that the planets have all been direct for about 3 months. A lot of the astrologers that I watch have been talking about that, how they really don't have any knowledge or memory of the planets being direct for this long of a time. So we had a good chunk of time for all these energies to be forward moving, and I do hope that all of us took advantage of that. I hope that we, took those energies and used those influences to really drive us and to move us forward, because now we have some planets kind of moving backwards, and this does affect our lives, guys. So Jupiter is the first retrograde of 2018, making it very interesting. It's like all this light is being shed on Jupiter until Mercury joins the retrograde energy on the 22nd. Now, Jupiter is more of a higher octave. It's interesting that Gemini is opposite of Sagittarius, right? Gemini is ruled by Mercury. So Gemini and Sagittarius are opposites because we have this whole third house and this 9th house energy. Now, the third house is the lower mind, right? We think of communication. So Mercury rules the lower mind, kind of. Mercury rules Gemini and Virgo. So I just thought it was interesting that no matter what way you look at it, Mercury is opposite this very, this belief energy, right? Virgo is opposite Pisces, which is the co-ruler of Sagittarius, of Jupiter. So Gemini is opposite of Jupiter, Virgo is opposite of Jupiter. So whatever way you look at it, Mercury is kind of the opposite shadow energy of Jupiter. And I think that's because Mercury controls more of the thoughts and communication, kind of the lower mind, the mind that we're used to operating at, but then there's an ascension that happens, right? That's a very Jupiter word, ascension. Because to ascend is to essentially expand, right? And Jupiter is all about that. So when you gain higher knowledge, when Mercury kind of takes steroids, it becomes this Jupiterian figure. And Jupiter is all about, philosophy. It's all about getting to the deeper meaning of things. It's all about our beliefs. Now, our beliefs, that's a different area of our chart, right? It's the 9th house. Jupiter rules the 9th house of our beliefs, of higher education, wisdom, all of these words that mean to simply expand your knowledge, right? Jupiter is all about the higher mind. Mercury is the lower mind. Jupiter is the higher mind. So at the end of this month, you guys, we're going to have our higher mind and our lower mind together, not in the same house or anything, but they're going to be retrograding back into the past. Now, one of the things that I was led to write down when I was kind of taking notes and getting into this kind of Jupiter feel is Back to the Future. Now, I have not watched Back to the Future as thoroughly as I should, but I'm actually planning on doing so. I think all of us should kind of, even those of you who are kind of from the older generation who really know Back to the Future, and if I did, I would probably incorporate that a lot here in this kind of video, but I know enough about Back to the Future, and just saying that kind of is interesting, like Back to the Future, like that's kind of moving forward and backwards at the same time, going back to the future. So I don't know why I was led to say that or led to write that down here, but I think this Jupiter retrograde is going to have a lot to do with going back to the future. So very, very oxymoron there, guys, and it just shows you how expansive Jupiter really is. Jupiter is this planet. Anything that Jupiter touches, it expands, right? It expands it. So Jupiter going retrograde is kind of, I feel that it is expanding our past in different areas of our life. This is Jupiter's way of kind of saying, okay, guys, so Saturn and Sagittarius, since 2000, Saturn was in Sagittarius, I do believe, from 2014 to 2018, I believe. But for the last 3 years or so, guys, we had Saturn in Sagittarius, and this energy is kind of being brought back up because Saturn left Scorpio in 2000, well, it was in Scorpio 2012, and then it entered Sagittarius. So that energy, I believe, is being brought back up here because I believe during the last 3 years of our life, we had a lot of karmic beliefs form. We had a lot of karmic knowledge. We gained a lot of karmic wisdom. And what I mean by that is that it was just simply on our karmic path to learn these things. I believe that Saturn in Sagittarius definitely aligned us with some of the beliefs that we were actually karmically meant to align with, right? So here comes Jupiter, the ruling planet of all this energy. And I believe that when Jupiter slows down like this, that it's really a test on our faith. Okay, we didn't realize that, right? We just, as humans, we just so effortlessly, well, it's not always effortlessly, but if you think about what it is that you believe, right? What it is that you really believe. Now, what does it even mean to believe in something? Well, to me, when I was kind of reflecting on this energy, it means to have faith in something. It means to, and Jupiter is the planet of sight. Sagittarius is the house of sight. Seeing is believing, right? But then Pisces is ruled by Jupiter because that's the energy. When you get to the 12th house, it's not about seeing. It's not about seeing, it's feeling. So I think beliefs kind of mix those two energies together. Sag and Pisces, science and spirituality. All of these things are kind of being touched on here with this Jupiter retrograde because Jupiter wants to know why we believe in the things that we believe in and if these are authentic beliefs. And it's good. It's good for our belief systems to be checked like this because, like I said, for some of us, it's so effortless. Some of our beliefs have been taught to us. Some of our beliefs have been forced on us. Some of our beliefs, and a good example of this, guys, is that some of us are actually walking around with the belief that we are less than what we are. With the belief, sometimes there's false beliefs, right? So a false belief is another thing that comes up here. It's time for us to look at these energies in retrospection. Why do I believe what I believe? What has caused me to believe these things? So our foundation, the foundation of our beliefs are being refined. They're being looked at in a greater way. Jupiter is kind of disappearing a little bit, guys. I kind of felt the need to say when I woke up today, where's Jupiter? And what I was going to say to you guys is that we so effortlessly, we go through lives and we're like these human sponges. We learn, just like a philosopher. Just like Jupiter, where life is an adventure that we're studying. It's a science project. This is kind of an experiment, you know what I mean? And so during those experiments, when you're writing these notes and you mix this with this and, oh, you had an explosion, let me write that down. Well, your beliefs are kind of shaped and formed around these ideas, around these, the evidence that you have, right? And so it really brings the question to me, should evidence and beliefs go in the same department? Now, when you're talking about the 9th house, yes, sure. When you're speaking in a scientific term, scientists are all about proving things. But here's the thing. When you really, truly believe in something, do you need proof? So I have a post that every time the planets do something major, like Mercury retrogrades, new moons, full moons, and of course Jupiter retrograde, I had to post, a little bit. I like to keep my friends and peers, like online peers, updated. My social media is used for mainly astrology and enlightenment and positive reinforcement, things like that. I like to use that as a platform, to kind of spread positive energy and stuff like that. So, on my post on Instagram and on my post on Facebook, I was talking about Jupiter, I usually just channel these things. I usually just pick up my phone and I'm typing out whatever messages come to me. I kind of channel it. I do a little bit of studying here and there. And it's interesting that I say that because Jupiter involves both of those things. Beliefs involve both of those things. A little bit of studying, a little bit of experimenting, but then sometimes it's just a feeling that you have. Hello, Pisces. Hello, Sag. Pisces and Sagittarius together, man, is there magic that happens when they come together, because you have literally Jupiter together. You have Pisces, you have the 9th house and the 12th house. When you travel around the zodiac wheel from Sagittarius season to Pisces season, little do you know, you are developing a strong belief in something, in yourself, in your foundation, in your emotion, in your lifestyle, wherever this energy is hitting for you. I believe what takes place between the 9th house and the 12th house is a very obscene amount of faith and belief. You move from seeing and sight to feeling and emotion. So it's just really, really interesting to talk about all this. And another thing is that, back to what I was saying about the poster, whatever, a lot of questions came up. Like, one of the questions I put was, why is it that we need to see where we're going before leaving? You ever think about that? Why is it that we need to see? And then it reminds me of that Martin Luther King quote. Belief, well, I think he said having faith is taking that first step without seeing the rest of the staircase. So if you really want to just use that as a metaphor, like think of yourself, and this is another thing. I've always used that analogy myself too. He was a Capricorn, Martin Luther King. So, which means Sagittarius, it was his 12th house. Interesting. But when I think about beliefs, when I think about having faith in something, I always picture this ladder in my head. I picture this old wooden ladder that's been out in somebody's shed for a long time. And, one day they just, they need a ladder for something. So they're like, I got a ladder out back, And they see this, they come face to face with this ladder. And, their belief in it, their trust in it, is a little bit shaky, so what do? It's kind of like jumping into water, right? You don't trust that you're afraid, right? So essentially belief is the opposite of fear. Belief is having hope and trust and faith in something, right? So when you break these energies down, it's like, I believe in you. Well, what does that mean? Well, it's like, I have faith in you. That's what it means. When you hear that, or when someone says, I believe in you, or when they say, I don't believe that, I don't believe that to be true. Well, it means that you don't think it's true. You don't have faith that that's true. So I think beliefs and faith go hand in hand, and I think the opposite of belief is doubt. I think the opposite of belief is fear. Fears and doubts, they go right together. What we fear is what we doubt. Sometimes we doubt that we fear things. Sometimes we doubt we're fearing things because we have doubts in them, okay? So this is what's coming up, guys. This is what this Jupiter retrograde is all about, I think. I believe, when the planet is moving forward, what they symbolize is what they symbolize: expansion, higher knowledge, philosophy, the higher mind, wisdom, education, educating yourself, luck, good fortune, whatever. So when we take that meaning and move it backwards, I don't want to say that it means the opposite, because I kind of think about tarot and I don't do reversal cards often, but let's use the Hanged Man, right? And that's an awful one to use because he's already upside down. But the Hanged Man, right side up, means enlightenment. It means looking at something from a different point of view. All right, I should have used like a more extreme card, right? But that one just came to mind for some reason. And I think that's a Neptune card. But if you turn that meaning around, it means maybe not looking at something from a different way. Maybe the extreme need to look at something from a different way. Maybe it means that you're no longer suspended on an idea. So anyway, my point is that when I sit and think about these energies, just as my own I'm kind of a novice astrologer, right? And not really. Like, I love astrology. I've been studying it for a year now. but there's more to learn. And I go off of what I feel. I like to channel things. That's where I get all my information. Of course I study a little bit, but sometimes I just have this higher knowledge. I have Jupiter in Sagittarius, so that's in my 12th house. So I'm all about belief. I'm all about learning more. And Jupiter, I did read that Jupiter is how we're going to be of service, how we want to help other people, because it's the expansion planet. So wherever Jupiter is in your chart, it's essentially expanding. So for me, no wonder I'm doing this channel and doing tarot cards, because my 12th house and my 11th house are expanded, right? So spiritual friends are especially good for me, and I hope that that's what expands in my life. But backing up a little bit. Speaking of backing up, thank you, universe. I kind of forgot my thought there, but we were literally talking about backing up. So, and we were talking about the reverse tarot cards and stuff like that. So to me, I think of what Jupiter means moving forward. Jupiter is a very expansive, higher knowledge type of thing. So when we say Jupiter is slowing down in the sky and Jupiter is moving backwards, well, I don't think it means the opposite of what Jupiter traditionally means. So it doesn't mean bad luck. A lot of people think, oh, well, Jupiter means good luck and good fortune. So, oh no, Jupiter's going retrograde. We're going to have bad luck. We're not going to have any good fortune. I don't believe that. I believe that that could be true for those who manifest that for themselves. But, I'm really feeling strange. I don't think Jupiter's that simple. Sure, it may mean that we have to try harder. It may mean that you won't find 20 bucks on the ground tomorrow. It may mean that you have to do something to align yourself. So I think luck is going to be, it's almost like Jupiter. I don't mean to, Jupiter, I hope you're okay with this, but I kind of just seen a fairy in my head. A little fairy godmother that's all, and it's so interesting. I have a little crown right here that I'm looking at as I say that. So Jupiter is like this fairy godmother of luck, right? It's magic. Jupiter is magic. Jupiter is the sight. It's all like this. It's very wise planet, okay? Very, very wise planet. And for Jupiter to be moving retrograde, it means that his influence is not as strong. And it's not because Jupiter is weaker or anything. It means that the influence needs to be taken back a few steps. I think that Jupiter has been straightforward and online for so long, and we had that long period of Sagittarius having Saturn in their sign, so everything was karmic, and our luck and all of that, our good fortune was very karmically bound. So I don't think that Saturn was too comfortable within a Jupiter ruled house, because Saturn and Jupiter are kind of opposite energies. Saturn restricts, Jupiter expands, so there was that harsh energy. But I think that those were essential years of learning, what we believe in. I think our beliefs were kind of tried and restricted, but expanded at the same time. So what I'm trying to say, guys, is that as far as the challenges of this transit, I believe that this is an important time. Very, very important that we keep the faith. If you all of a sudden start doubting something during this is the next 4 months. Another thing I meant to mention is that this planet is retrograde until July 10th. So that's 4 long, long, long months of the planet of expansion, the planet of luck, the planet of higher knowledge, the planet of philosophy in our beliefs, definitely slowing down a bit. A little bit harder to access, right? But that's why you go within, because we all have our own natal Jupiters, right? Some of you may be born when Jupiter was in retrograde. And, I read that when Jupiter is in retrograde in a person's chart, they may have a difficult time expanding. So guys, it's just time that we put in our own work. Jupiter is always here to expand. And I think we take Jupiter for granted, like our beliefs are something that's so personal to us, right? That's why it's in the 9th house so we're passionate about our beliefs, we're emotional about our beliefs. Gosh, have you ever tried to bring up some kind of religious conversation with somebody, and if you don't agree, it gets crazy, right? Some of our main wars have been fought over religion, and that is so weird to say that, because Mars is currently hanging out in Sagittarius with the moon right now, and golly, like, religion is just, I know that it serves a good purpose or whatever, but you want to evolve into this kind of spirituality, like get on board, because religion is kind of man-made. It's just so interesting that the 9th house is both the house of science and beliefs, because those two things didn't really agree back in the day. When people used to, it was either the Big Bang Theory or God, or is it evolution or Christianity, and it's like, guys, it's both. Like, it's everything. You're supposed to expand on everything. Why do you think Sagittarius and Pisces are ruled by the same planet? Because we're supposed to expand equally. Science and spirituality go hand in hand. The astrology tells it all. Pisces and Sagittarius are ruled by the same planet because we are supposed to expand equally when it comes to science and spirituality. They go hand in hand. Science, that's why I love astrology. Astrology is spiritual, astrology is scientific, astrology is factual. I mean, go outside and look at the stars. Like, they're there. The moon is here. The moon is full on the 31st. If you go outside on the 31st, guarantee the moon's going to be full in Libra. Like, science, I love mixing science and beliefs. Astrology is my calling, you know, and I just appreciate it so much. And for this planet to be going retrograde, guys, I feel that we're going to have to put in a little bit more work. We're going to have to work a little bit harder. Things aren't just going to appear for us. We're not just going to, you know, it's kind of necessary. It's a necessary slowing down, because Jupiter wants to know who's going to stay optimistic for the next 4 months. In the next 4 months, are you going to be, do you really need help? Because listen, guys, when you truly believe in something, when you truly have faith in something, you don't need to see the end results. You know, and that's the whole Jupiter scientific Jupiter belief. Are you a scientist, or do you believe in this? Do you need to mix these two beakers to know that they don't go well together? Are you just gonna, it's kind of it's a chance. Like, that's why Jupiter is the planet of good luck and fortune, because I just picture a scientist that literally didn't blow up in his lab because, you know, because he was lucky and because he just has a lot of good fortune, you know. So it's important for this planet of good fortune and luck to kind of slow down sometimes. The universe thought it was necessary for between March 8th and for July 10th for this planet to move retrograde. Our beliefs are slowing down. Our faith in things are going to be challenged. We are going to experience certain doubts, okay? But Jupiter wants to know who's going to expand these doubts. Are you going to expand beyond the doubts? Because doubts come up to show you, hey, what if it doesn't work out? You don't know. What if this step isn't real? Well, oh well, I have faith. And you know what, guys? I'm going to tell you, as a Pisces, my faith gets me places all the time. Like, it doesn't matter if I go against the physical. Like, listen, Virgo and Pisces, Gemini, Sagittarius, the reason why we're opposites is because, well, there has to be balance, first of all. But what I was going to say is that by nature, I go against reality, because I am the opposite of Virgo. I'm the opposite of the 6th house. So as a Pisces, being co-ruled by Jupiter, being ruled by Neptune and Jupiter, it makes me a really, really weird person of belief. You ever see a Pisces believe in something? If a Pisces, you got to be careful, because if you're a Pisces and you believe in something, it is going to happen. This is all about manifestation, you guys. How do you manifest something? Well, you believe in it. You see it happening before it happens. You know, that's what a spiritual person will tell you. You want to align yourself with abundance? Well, then you need to behave like a person who already has abundance. You know, it's like aligning yourself with something before it's there. That's the trick. That's the trick to the universe. How do you think we all came here? Is because something believed in it enough. Something saw it happening before it happened. And that gets me talking about visions, right? Jupiter can be the planet of vision. It's the planet of sight. It's the planet of foresight. When you talk about Pisces and Sagittarius together, it's the planet of seeing before. So you talk about deja vu, you know, if you ever experienced deja vu, Jupiter is all that. It's about having the higher knowledge. Like, I feel that this is extremely strange territory to be talking about, but it makes sense to me. Do not doubt yourself. Do not doubt yourself. If, you know, Jupiter will show you what it is that you shouldn't believe in any longer. So some of us, okay, Taurus, I'm going to use you as an example. Taurus is going through a Jupiter retrograde in their 7th house of relationships. Some of you Tauruses out there, you could have been keeping the belief in this relationship. You could have been keeping it. Oh, it's okay. I just believe we'll fix this. I just believe it. I just believe, I believe. But Jupiter goes retrograde, and some of you, not all of you, so don't freak out, Taurus. Okay, I know you guys are really loyal lovers. I have a Taurus moon, okay? But for some of you Tauruses out there, if you have had a false belief in a relationship, because sometimes we can create false beliefs. We are our own gods, right? We are made in the image of the Creator. We are in a universe. So universes create things all the time. Supernovas, dark matter, universes are infinite, right? So sometimes we expand beyond infinity. And when you expand beyond it, like I asked it on my Facebook post, I said, what happens when you expand beyond the expandable? Well, you are very wise and you come back knowing the unknowable. You come back, and that's exactly what it feels like talking to you guys, is that I'm explaining things that only make sense if you're able to expand. So if you guys are Mercury ruled, and I'm not saying that Mercury's closed-minded, but Mercury's more about facts. Facts and beliefs, they're different. They're kind of cousins. They kind of get along sometimes. But when a person truly believes in something, they don't need to know for sure, right? I heard that on a movie before. I heard that on some kind of movie quote or something. But that's also something that just came from me, is that when you believe in something, you don't need to read it. You don't need to see it or feel it. You just know. So as a Pisces, sometimes I literally can feel an energy around me. I'm like, I know there's an energy around me, or I know that person is going through this. And then you have people that gaslight you. So I want to mention there, be careful of gaslighting around this time. And if for those of you who don't know what gaslighting means, it's someone who's essentially manipulating you. They know what they're doing. They know that you're true. They know that you're telling the truth, and that they believe you. But they want to make you feel crazy just for the sheer fact of manipulation. Like, this is when someone knows that you're, like, you guys literally know it together. Happens in relationships a lot. Like, just like, it's like if I was talking about astrology to a person who literally believes in astrology too, but they just want to gaslight me, it's like they take your energy. No, astrology ain't real, man. Even though they read their horoscope every night, they're like, man, whatever, that shit ain't real. Yeah, okay, you're gaslighting me. Like, gaslighting is something that happens to our beliefs. And I feel that it's interesting that this is coming up, because I believe that we should be very careful of gaslighting over this time, because our planet that symbolizes our higher knowledge, well, it's going to be harder to reach, you guys. That's what Jupiter retrograde means. It's going to be a little bit harder to reach. And, that brings up the ultimate test of who is really going to be about it, who's going to still be doing this, So I'm going to talk to you guys all about the different areas. I'm going to go through all the 12 signs in the videos and talk about the areas that this is happening individually for you, for Aries, for Taurus, for Gemini, for Cancer, So this is happening in opposites for all of us. And I'm going to just talk a little bit about the houses that this is happening in. Right? For Aries, this is happening in their 8th house. For Taurus, this is happening in their 7th house. Gemini, their 6th house. So those energies mean different things, and we can kind of hone in and talk about this a little bit more. So that'll be a little bit more clear to you guys, because this is a time where our sight can be a bit blurred. Now, it's so interesting that this happened in Pisces season, where, our emotional beliefs are coming up, where completions are happening. I'm telling you, this happened for a reason, for Jupiter to go retrograde in Pisces season. Our faith is going to be tested and tried, okay? Jupiter is moving backwards and slowing down, so that we have to put in more work when it comes to what we believe, okay? And it's important that we stay optimistic and energetically hopeful about this, because this is like a dissipating faith. Our faith is going to be a little bit, it's to test people. Do you believe in this because you have proof? Or then there's the real ones that believe because they feel it. They believe because, see, there's two different kinds of belief. Some of us believe things because it's what we've been shown and taught our whole life. Some of us believe things because it's what we've saw. It's because it's what we, but I'm saying there's other things that you believe in your heart and soul that you really have no knowledge. And that's interesting that Jupiter is the planet of beliefs and higher knowledge. Those two things are that's a dangerous combination, because unless you look at it in a way like your knowledge comes from a higher source. Because, see, people don't understand that knowledge isn't factual. Knowledge is just what a person knows. We can bring knowledge with us from 7 lifetimes ago. And maybe in this lifetime, that knowledge isn't here. Maybe some of us are from different planets, and what we know is not factual here. But how does that mean that it's not factual in another area? Does it mean that it's not factual in another realm? Because in the dream realm, I can be at 7 places at once. But here, matter and gravity and shit doesn't work like that. So you want to be careful of what you think is facts, because facts leave no room for possibilities. So, when we step into this place of doubt, which I believe some of us are going to be challenged with, this place of doubt, this place of fear, now that Jupiter is a little bit invisible, now that Jupiter is harder to reach, farther away from us, moving backwards, you want to be careful when you're dealing with these doubts. You want to ask yourself why, because doubts are what we believe easiest in. Isn't that crazy? Our fears are what we believe the most. The negativity, you ever realize that we believe the negative things that people say about us? It's easier to believe the negative things that people say than it is to believe the positive things. And that's coming up now, guys, in this video, because Jupiter is literally bringing this all to the forefront. What are our doubts? What are our beliefs? What is the relationship between those two things, and why? Is there any kind of higher knowledge that we can gain from it? Is there a wiser approach that we can take, or something more that we can learn? Now, something I haven't mentioned yet, guys, well, I've mentioned it a little bit with the whole Back to the Future thing. It's going to be trippy. It's going to be trippy because this isn't like Mercury. Mercury goes backwards and it's literally a blast from the past. But since this is such an expansive planet, Jupiter is moving back into our past, not only to, go over, and Jupiter is going to cover areas over the last 4 or 5 years. Anything that you've, developed a belief in or developed faith in over the past 4 or 5 years, Jupiter is going to go back in time and show you it from a different angle. It's going to expand it for you. So that's why Jupiter is such a badass planet that even when it travels retrograde, it's expansive still. It's even more expansive, honestly. Its influence is even more expansive because it's almost like a parent that chills out, and lets this kid, I picture a baby walking and kind of falling down and that parent's right there to catch him, right? Oh, it's okay. How's that kid ever going to believe in itself? So Jupiter is kind of like our crutches, but you should never have a crutch when it comes to your belief. You should just be able to walk. You should just have faith. You should just try and keep faith, because faith will get you a long way, guys. And it's all about these doubts that we have, and these doubts are going to come up in different areas. We're going to cover that in the personal videos. So Jupiter's traveling back into the past, you guys. And that when our parent, we're walking on our own now. We're these 3-year-olds or however old we are when we start walking, and, we want to do it ourselves, and it's time to prove ourselves to the universe that we do believe in what we believe in, and that our beliefs are an expansion of us. They are an ascension of us. We are evolving and ascending. We are ascending, and our beliefs either help us grow or they diminish us. I know, and it's none of my business, but some people believe in certain things that, our beliefs are powerful over us. What we believe shapes us. What we believe is what we base our entire life off of. Why do you think this is the biggest planet of the solar system? It has a lot of influence over our lives. So you want to ask yourself, most importantly, if this confused you, ask yourself what it is you believe in and what got you there. Do you believe in it because it was taught to you? Do you believe in it because you want to pay attention to the answer? Why do I believe in this? Why do I have faith in this person, place, or thing? And the answer to that is going to be essentially what ascends you. You're going to be a lot wiser when you ask yourself these questions. Why is it that I need to see where I'm going? Doesn't that kind of, it makes the journey pointless, right? Sometimes you can't see what's up ahead, and you just have to carry on and walk on your own and have faith in the journey, have faith in the universe, have faith in yourself, have faith in your own strength. These things are coming up, you guys, because Jupiter is slowing down. And, like I said, our faith and beliefs will be challenged by doubt and by fear. And you want to look out for gaslighting too. I believe that we are going backwards in time. Our higher minds are pausing and going backwards to expand on what we may have missed, We're going backwards to gain wisdom. And Jupiter is going in these certain areas because we need to grow. Some of these areas that we need growth in need more time. It's very important. These things are very important that we could have missed. Jupiter can be so expansive sometimes that we could expand beyond things that we could have learned a little bit more about. That's the only thing about, science and beliefs, is that we expand and we learn more and we learn more and we learn more, and more of the puzzle comes together. And there may have been something that we missed. So I love retrogrades and I embrace retrogrades because there's obviously something that the universe is trying to show us from the past, or it's not necessarily the past, it's just something that's not in front of us on the journey. Jupiter says that there is something behind us that we overlooked. There's something that we can learn from our past. There's something we can learn from what has already occurred, and it's time to look at that in a different way. It's time to look at that. We've grown a lot, over the past years. So it's time to take who we are now and who we are because of these beliefs and because of our faith, and look at this in a different way, because we're not the same people, so we're not going to be looking at it in the same perspective. Our perspective has been expanded. Our knowledge, we know more, we see more, we believe in different things. I bet our beliefs have changed. If you think about what you believed as a child, Santa, do you guys still believe in Santa Claus? Because, I'm sorry, Santa, but I have not gotten any presents, and I don't, holidays or whatever they are, but, that's just an example. Do you believe in the Tooth Fairy still? So it's so interesting that our belief is ruled by a mutable fire sign and a mutable water sign, because our feelings change a lot. The fact that Jupiter is ruled by mutable planets, it just goes to show you that our beliefs change throughout life. Our philosophy, our higher knowledge, it has to be something that can change, because think about it. Think of think of Jupiter was ruled, and that's interesting. Mercury is also ruled by mutable signs, Gemini and Virgo, because what we think often changes. And it's interesting to think about Mercury and Jupiter together, because our lower mind and our higher mind, our thoughts and our beliefs kind of mix together. They're friends a little bit. So our beliefs are essentially shaped by around what we think and what we believe, what we think and what we believe, what we believe we think, what we think we believe. Okay? Astrology, man, it's wild. And it makes sense if you just take a minute and just kind of look at these things, take some time to discuss these things, these different energies. It's interesting that Jupiter is ruled by a mutable energy. And that just goes to show you that what we believe changes and it mutates over time. And you want to be careful, because sometimes that's a negative thing. Sometimes others can impose our beliefs. Sometimes others impose their beliefs on us, right? You have those people that, and I don't disrespect any of these religions, but I don't feel a positive energy from anybody who tries to force a belief on you. Jupiter is not about forcing anything. It's about the natural expansion of things. You ever have a really deep, expansive conversation with somebody, and even if you believe in different things, you still learn? That's what Jupiter is about. Jupiter is so expansive that you can disagree. You can move backwards. You can go back to the past and look at something differently without the harsh feelings, without a war. We do have Mars and Sagittarius and stuff like that. But what we believe in, it shouldn't add aggression. It should happen naturally. Our beliefs, guys, if you're wondering, well, what do I believe? What is my faith? Some people find themselves troubled when they don't have a religion. When they don't believe in something, it's like, you believe in something. Some of you are agnostic. Some people believe in many different things. I believe in everything. I believe that if there's a human somewhere thinking it, that somewhere it exists. So I wouldn't worry too much about your beliefs changing, but more so them just evolving into something that is a more accurate depiction of your life now. It's important that what we believe in over time, there's 1-year-old us and 2-year-old us and 21-year-old us and 67-year-old us. And if we take those different points of our lives, what we believe in is different. It might stay the same, but it might change. A lot of us feel like what we believe in should stay the same forever, but no. What we believe in, the human experience is all about expansion. It's all about growing and expanding and ascending. We came here to ascend. We came here to experience growth and lessons and karma and energy. And guys, I just feel like this is a time for us to look at all that in just a little bit different of a way. And I promise you, come July, over the next few months, we're really going to be expanding in different areas of our lives, and it's for the better. It's because we needed a little bit more time. There's something in the past, something behind us that Jupiter is going to expand. Okay? And, you know, this is happening all in our 8th house. So it may happen beneath the surface. It may happen a little bit secretive like. It may happen intimately, you know, because Jupiter is in Scorpio. Jupiter is going to be in Scorpio until next year. So when Jupiter is in the 8th house, it expands in an intimate way. It expands at an emotional level. It expands at an intensity. It's, you know, this is really, really rocking awesome, you guys. It's pretty awesome. So this is what I think about Jupiter retrograde. I do hope that this information was kind of cool, and this is just what I think. This is just what my mind came up with today. There's always more to say, and I'm gonna save that for your individual videos. Those are gonna be like 10 minutes or so, guys, or maybe 15-20 minutes long, so that these videos can be about an hour long altogether. So that's what I have for you, and this is Jupiter, you guys. Jupiter's retrograde. And this is what I think it's gonna, you know, these are the energies that I believe this is what I think, I guess. And we can expand a little bit further on that in your individual videos, where I can talk to the individual sign, you know, a little bit more about the actual house that it's expanding. Now, as far as your natal charts, hit me up. We can talk about what Jupiter means in certain houses, but this is general. In general for Gemini, in general for Pisces, in general for Aries, all these different signs, okay? So, hey Jupiter, thanks for going retrograde, bud. Let's see what you got. Expand us. All right, guys, I will talk to you in the videos for your individual sign. See ya. Hi, Cancer. This is Braylon. I'm here to talk to you a little bit about Jupiter retrograde in your 5th house. Now, I'm not sure if you watched my intro video, but I talked a lot about Jupiter and what Jupiter means, and we're going to talk a little bit about that in your video too, but more so about what you guys can look forward to and what maybe some of the challenges will be with this Jupiter retrograde over the next 4 months, okay? Now, it's interesting. Jupiter actually is going to go direct. I kind of noticed that because my grandma's birthday is on July 10th, and she was a Cancer. So Jupiter is actually going to be going direct in Cancer season. So that was interesting to kind of mention to you guys, because I think that it kind of makes this interesting for you. It means that this kind of the kind of ending to all this, the kind of end point, or what the results are going to be, well, we're going to discover that in Cancer season. So it may be kind of emotional or just really deep. So Cancer, the 5th house, Scorpio is your 5th house. And Jupiter has been hanging out in Scorpio for the past a while now. And it's been expanding, you know, the house of pleasure and creativity for you. This is the house that has to do with even children, anything that you can create, anything that, and you can create children, right? Children are a creative product of you. So, you know, this house is being really, really activated with Jupiter retrograde. This house is being activated anyways because Jupiter has been there, but now Jupiter has slowed down and is kind of standing still. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the changes in energy that we can look forward to over the next 4 months, okay, guys? But don't worry, by the time your solar returns come around, if you're born, you know, around July 10th, this energy is going to go back online and move kind of more straightforward. So Cancer, I took a little bit of notes for you last night, you know, just sat with your energy a little bit to kind of think about what the heck Jupiter would do in the 5th house retrograde, right? Well, what's coming up is a lot about revisiting the childhood, because Jupiter retrograde is about moving backwards. And when I think about a planet moving backwards, what that kind of does to our life is it brings back certain energies, people, places, and things from our from our past. But for you, that could mean childhood, right? Because it's the house of children. It's the house of creativity. When we're children, we're very creative. So, you know, Cancer, you may have certain memories over the next 4 months, especially because it's coming up on your birthday soon. So oftentimes when we come up on our birthdays, we think of our childlike memories. We think of memories through the years. So there's a lot of energy here about revisiting the past for you, and about you when you were a child, you know, about the creativity you had when you were a child, or about a creative childhood. You know, either you had a creative childhood or you wished that you did, and this is going to affect you guys differently depending on how your childhood was. But nonetheless, Jupiter is in this area where you could potentially be revisiting certain things from your childhood. Okay, and you just want to keep in mind any doubts that come up because of that. You want to keep the faith. You know, it may do you some good to think about all the growth that has happened with you throughout the years. You know, I'm sure you guys are not entirely the same people as you were when you were 5 years old. I hope not, because I'm sure that you've grown and learned since then. So this is about, you know, Jupiter's in an area in your chart where it's going to really expand the pleasure in your life, right? This is about expansive creativity. But since Jupiter is kind of slowing down, it can kind of take on the opposite effect of that. So Cancer, you may start developing certain doubts over the next 4 months about, you know, you could be doubting certain pleasure. You could be doubting this. You may feel pleasure slow down for you a little bit, you know, and I know you guys can be very, very, I don't want to be normal and say that you guys are moody, because I want to find a better word, a more accurate word. Like, you guys are just really, really emotionally intelligent. So just the slightest thing can cause you to feel a certain emotion. And since you're a cardinal sign, you feel something and you want to do something about it. You feel something and you want to do something about it. And it's not an easy way, you know, to go through life, especially when Jupiter is retrograding in the house of pleasure, because, you know, Cancer, it's really important for you guys to be comfortable. You guys rule the fourth house of home, so it's really important for you to have an emotional foundation. So if anything comes up over the next 4 months that causes you to doubt the way that you feel or doubt the way that you creatively express yourself, well, that's going to cause you guys the opposite of pleasure. You know, pleasure could slow down a little bit for you guys because of this Jupiter retrograde. Now, the bright side of that is that Jupiter is traveling back into your past to reevaluate anything that caused you pleasure or not caused you pleasure, or caused you creativity or didn't cause you creativity. So this is kind of like a chance to move backwards and go back into the past to kind of take a more educated look at something, because you've grown, right, Cancer? When's the last time that you've thought about your beliefs? When's the last time that you've thought about, you know, what it is that you believe in and what it is that you know, have faith in? Well, it's time to reassess that, especially when it comes to your creative beliefs. So this is interesting, Cancer, that you have Jupiter in your fifth house, because this has everything to do with beliefs, and that has everything to do with creativity. So this is about creative beliefs. So for some of you, what you believe towards creativity and what you believe towards, you know, expansiveness, you know, this is really taking the sector of belief and kind of making it, you know, when you add creativity to what you believe, well, it's very Jupiter energy, because Jupiter is very optimistic. Jupiter is very, you know, wise. So Cancer, you could be learning over the next 4 months something deeper about your beliefs. You can start getting really creative about what you believe in, especially if you work with like spirituality, if you're like a tarot reader, or if you're, you know, it doesn't really matter what you do or what you believe in, but I feel that Cancer over the next 4 months is going to gain a more creative approach to what they believe in. You're going to add a little bit more creativity towards what you think and believe. And I think you're going to gain a lot of higher knowledge about pleasure as well. So I don't want you to get too doom and gloom about, you know, pleasure taking kind of a halt in your life, because there could be something a little bit more important that you missed along the way, you know, walking this path of pleasure, you know what I mean? Well, Jupiter's here to say, hey, Cancer, is there anything back there that you missed, friend? Is there anything back there that you can learn from again? Is there anything that you've ascended beyond that maybe we can learn from again? Because these things are going to kind of come up, Cancer. Now, I want to tell you about doubts and about losing the faith. It's important that you keep the faith in creativity. You know, it's Pisces season. It's about to be Aries season. You guys are a cardinal sign. This is going to go direct in Cancer season. So I would really hate for some of you, I really would be disappointed to know that some of you lost the faith in something that can really launch off in July. Just because it's taking a temporary pause or anything like that, please keep the faith in it, Cancer. Please stay emotionally positive. Oh my God, is it so important that Cancer and Pisces and Scorpio stay emotionally positive during this transit? Because you know how it is with us water signs. The way to us is our emotion. So if we start emotionally doubting things, if we start losing faith in emotional situations, it can really screw some things up. And if a water sign loses faith in you emotionally, then it's all over with, you know what I mean? And where's the pleasure in that? So I think Jupiter is really just going to be going retrograde in your fifth house to go back and show you. It's going to redefine and refine what it is that you believe in about pleasure, Cancer. Some of you could really have taken on I know some of you guys really experience life in a very deep emotional way. So the downside to that is running into certain people, places, and things that have a negative impact over you. So when it comes to pleasure, if you guys haven't been feeling positive, if you haven't, I know Cancer, sometimes you guys go through it. You guys can kind of stay, you guys feel so deeply all the time. And it's not that you're negative or wallowers or that you're any of these other names that people call you. I understand Cancer, okay? I just do, because I'm a water sign, I guess, and because both of my grandmas were Cancers, and I understood their energy kind of, even though I didn't meet one of my grandmas. But the grandma I did meet, the one that was born on July 10th, she was just very emotional about a lot of things, and she was very intuitive. And when you're so psychic like that, you just kind of see through the bullshit, and it gets hard to fake a happy face. It gets hard. Water signs, it takes a lot of our energy to pretend to be an emotion that we're not. Okay, so be careful during this time about pretending like you're happy, because happy is just another word for pleasure, right? When we're happy, we're experiencing pleasure, and when we're experiencing pleasure, we're happy. So Cancer, you could be experiencing doubts with certain things that make you happy or certain things that cause you pleasure, and this could be linked into the creative fifth house too. So you want to ask yourself what you believe about happiness and what you believe about pleasure, and really ask yourself where those doubts come in at. Do you really believe that you're a person who doesn't deserve happiness, Cancer? Because you guys do. You are the cardinal water sign. I have so much respect for you guys as that kind of energy, because you kind of paved the way for Scorpio and Pisces, you know what I mean? So you really just want to take a higher approach to these things. Anything that comes up in your life over the next 4 months until July, it's 444 on the clock, by the way. So that's a synchronicity because you're the fourth house. 4 is kind of the Cancer number for me. And 4 is the number of foundation. So what that tells me from Spirit right now is that there's a foundation that Cancer is going to be kind of going back into the past and reevaluating. What do you believe about your foundation? What do you believe about, the higher knowledge that you can gain about your foundation, or the higher knowledge you can gain about your creative beliefs, or what you can expand on about that, right? Expanding on the pleasure and the creativity in your foundation, right? We all need a foundation first to launch from. So over the next 4 months, you could really be getting creative about those different beliefs. And for some Cancers, it could be a very positive thing. For some Cancers, you guys have taken on this negative view because of others and because of certain experiences. Well, Jupiter, I believe, is going to really help you feel, this is the beginning process of Cancer feeling happy again. This is the beginning process of Cancer feeling happy again and feeling like things are not, because you guys can be kind of worried a lot about the emotional world. You can be kind of worried about the emotions of, you guys worry about the collective emotion a lot. People think that's Pisces, but Cancer is worried about how many people aren't taking action. You ever wonder why Cancer feels so depressed? Well, it's because Cancer rules emotional action, and you ever realize how many of us feel and don't do anything about it? Cancer, that's why you guys feel so heavy all the time, because you're a water sign and because you're linked to the collective consciousness. And the more and more that people don't do things about what they feel, a lot of us are just feeling things. And why do you think you do that, Cancer? Because it's kind of like you're forced to match the energy. Like, Cancer will feel something and they'll want to do something about it, but they don't really know, maybe how to take the action to do something, because feelings are feelable. They're not really about doing. You're not the sign of doing, you're the sign of feeling. So the more and more that this world is a place where people feel and do nothing about it, we're going to have some pretty unhappy Cancers. So I think Jupiter retrograding in this fifth house of pleasure could really add some knowledge there, something that maybe you didn't know before, Cancer, about your emotions, about pleasure, about fun, about creativity. So I think there's a creative element here for Cancer about knowledge, like creatively learning. The creativity that is kind of mixed in with wisdom, right? You can creatively learn something in a higher way. You can creatively learn. And this is going to be very unique for all of you, because that's what I mean by creatively, is I just mean uniquely. I mean in a different way. And Jupiter is all about that. Jupiter is all about expansion. So for you to take in a creative approach about pleasure and about what you believe and about what you consider fun. And don't forget that this is all about your children as well. So I feel the need to mention that for those of you trying to conceive, for those of you trying to get pregnant, if you're dealing with, because this is your fifth house, right? Jupiter was in your fifth house of children expanding. So some of you could have gotten pregnant over the past couple of months. Well, if you're a Cancer that is wanting to get pregnant from now until July 10th, I'm not saying that this is true, and if it's not true, I don't want it to manifest for Cancer, but for some of you, I do feel the need that you're trying to conceive. Some of you may, over the next 4 months, try to conceive a child, and you really lose faith in that. You're like, no, this is just not happening. Me and my husband, or me and my wife. You could be a male Cancer having, you know, guys, what I'm really channeling here is that Cancer is going to be really not feeling the pleasure. It's not, you're not going to be feeling happy. You're not going to be feeling, but this is the beginning of you feeling sexual again. This is the beginning of you feeling the pleasure again. You just have to wait for this energy to kind of pass through, but it's teaching you something, Cancer. It is growing you. You are learning from this. You will feel the sex appeal again, just like Aries. You will feel this. Venus will move into Cancer in the months to come. So if you are one of those Cancers trying to conceive or trying to impregnate your spouse and it's not working, you know, it's just because Jupiter is retrograding in your fourth house or in your fifth house, saying, hey, Cancer, you know, this can wait. Hey, Cancer, there's some other things to do right now. You know, everything happens in divine order, right? You have to keep the faith. Keep the faith in your children. Keep faith in the child in you, Cancer. You guys are the cosmic child, right? Did you know that? You are the sign right before Leo. You're ruled by the moon, and the moon is all about fertility. The moon is all about maternal instincts. So for some of you Cancer moms out there, you could be really doubting whether you're doing a good job as a mother. You could be really doubting, you know, your paternal, your parenting. So for all you Cancer parents, even the fathers, even the mothers, you know, keep the faith that you've done all that you can do. Keep the faith that you are everything that you can be for these children, and also the child in you. Remember how I was saying you might revisit your childhood during this time? Well, it's time for you to get back in touch with who you were as a child, what you were creative about, when you just picked up a piece of paper and drew a sun with a face on it, drew a flower with a fucking dragon tail. It doesn't have to make emotional sense, Cancer. Not everything has to make emotional sense first. This is about taking a step before seeing the result. And I know, Cancer, since you're a cardinal sign, you can be a bit more about grounded. You can be a bit more about action. And when you're about action, you need to know that what you do is going to matter. You need to know that what you do is not going to fall through. But right now, it's about taking the step and taking a chance, taking a risk about something. And it may have something to do with a creative endeavor or your kids, or about something that you had, that you wanted, a dream that you had when you were a child, or knowledge that you had when you were a child, or something like that. But it's about doing it, Cancer, right now, and just having faith in yourself, having emotional faith in yourself, having faith in your intuition, having faith in your psychic abilities. And if you do that, Cancer, this is going to be a breeze. Keep in mind that this is all going to go back direct in Cancer season. So you play a direct part in this energy somehow. So stay positive and keep the faith when it comes to your creative beliefs. Learn something more about the pleasure and about the happiness in your life, because there's something that Jupiter wants you to learn, and it may involve you going back into the past a bit, okay? So this is what I have for you, Cancer, over the next 4 months about Jupiter in your fifth house, okay? And if that was a little bit much, if you guys didn't really understand that, because I wanted these videos to be a little shorter this month, but because I have a lot of other videos to do too. But if you have any questions, I have all my information down below, and I would love to talk to you guys more about what this might mean. We can talk about Jupiter in your natal chart and how this is going to affect you then. But this is what I have as far as notes, and this is just general, you guys. Like I said, I'd love to talk to you on a more personal level. You know, y'all have a sun and moon and a rising sign. So go ahead and hit me up. You can email me. You can comment below if you feel comfortable enough to. And I would love to talk to you guys more, okay? So that's all I have for now. And I will talk to you guys in a week or so for your March videos, okay? Bye, Cancer.